and welcome, my friends, to yet another episode of the Sustainability Sisters. I am very excited to announce that today's guest works at the crux of climate extremities and their socio-economical impact. She manages that at the grassroots level. She is a philosopher at heart, a researcher by background, and yes, if you guessed it correctly, a disaster manager by profession. Or it's a lot of effort in jobs like these. And I'm just, without any further ado, I want to announce Miss Ambika Dabral, and I'm going to give you a short snapshot of what she has done in all of these years of her profession as a disaster manager. Okay. हेलो अंबिका, वेलकम टू आवर चैनल। कैसा लग रहा है आज आपको?
Hi, Sanchari. Thank you for the invite. I'm feeling very happy to be finally able to do this and very excited.
इंटरेस्टिंग बात तो ये है कि हम सीजन 1 से आपके पीछे पड़े हैं और सीजन 2
Yes,
में वी हैव क्रैक्ड फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू विद यू। यस,
yes. So apologies for keeping you waited, but happy to be here finally.
एब्सोल्युटली बेस्ट फॉर द लास्ट टाइम। तो अंबिका, मैंने आपको गूगल किया, ठीक है? एंड व्हाट आई फाउंड इज दैट यू हैव अ बैकग्राउंड इन मैथमेटिक्स। ये कैसे हुआ?
Yes.
क्या बात कर रहे हो?
वो पहले हुआ था, डीएम कैसे हुआ is the thing.
Okay, tell me how you
Okay,
went from
maths
mathematics. Yeah.
actually. Okay. So maths से तो Sanchari, to be very frank, मैं as a child only I used to love the subject. ठीक है, so that was a very natural path for me to take, even for graduation and post graduation. मुझे बस ऐसा सब्जेक्ट लगता था मैथ्स. Maths used to come very naturally to me. I was able to relate a lot to it because I was able to see things what I'm doing, see the end result of very analytical approach. It's not that you're reading something in theory and then you're not able to apply it or see it. So from that angle, I think math was something that I could relate to right from the very early stage. And why I had to leave it is a different story. Because when I pursued it till post graduation level, so I did my MSc Maths in that, and I think the curriculum at that point, at the post graduation level, was not very application based. It was more of the theory based.
Tell
So
me about
while I could, yeah, so it's like the theory of everything. So if I can recollect things correctly from over a decade back, so there were, of course, maths has papers like algebra, analysis, trigonometry, and all those things, right? But the theory part of it, that I will, I can even recall that in one of the graduation classes, we had to prove that one is not equal to zero
what?
using theories and concepts. So that kind of
One
background
not
theory.
equal to zero.
Yes, but
Wow.
so the graduation was fine. I learned a lot in the college, and being in Stephens was a different world itself. It was full of learning and everything.
हमारे टाइम पे only students who got in like a 99% or 99.99 could get into Stephens. So I remember it.
हाँ नहीं यार, things are very different now. अभी तो 99 पे भी बहुत लोगों को बहुत चीजें नहीं मिल पाती है. But I think at our time, हाँ of course competition was there, but इतना नहीं था यार 99 वगैरह वाला. I think मेरे टाइम पे अराउंड 94 या ऐसा कुछ कट ऑफ था. तो बट ये 99.9 वाला सीन नहीं था यार तब. दिस हैज बिकम वेरी स्केरी नाउ. तो बस वही है कि मैं थोड़ा पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के बाद आई फेल्ट द डिस्कनेक्ट अ बिट लिटिल बिकॉज ऑफ वो थ्योरी बेस्ड जा रहा था हो रहा था, अभी एप्लीकेशन वाला नहीं हो रहा था. हाउएवर डाउन द लेन आई गॉट टू लर्न फ्रॉम सम ऑफ द जूनियर्स दैट अभी पूरा वो ओवरहॉल हुआ है करिकुलम. सो
अच्छा,
आई थिंक इट्स मोर ऑफ एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड नाउ.
to people who would
So
like to
that
study
was the
math.
journey, but I still love the subject. I just love it.
मैथ्स के साथ थोड़ा सा नोक झोंक वाला रिलेशनशिप रहा है। तो
That's very common for many of people in my circle.
तभी तो हमने डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट व्हाट आई वांट टू नो इज आप मैथ्स में अच्छे हो गए हैं व्हाई डिड यू पिक अप समथिंग एज कंटेम्पररी एज डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट क्योंकि मेरे को पता है मैंने ग्रेजुएशन ज्योग्राफी में करी है और वहां पे भी दिस इज वन ऑफ द न्यूअर टॉपिक्स ऐसा उसमें बहुत कम लोग जाना चाहते हैं आपको कैसे चमका
Right, right. टू बी ऑनेस्ट मेरे को पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसी कोई फील्ड एग्जिस्ट होती है एट दैट टाइम व्हेन वी पिक्ड इट. ठीक है. सो व्हेन वी वर ऑलमोस्ट ओवर विद ग्रेजुएशन लाइक इन द फाइनल ईयर दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग, उस टाइम ना हॉट चीज जो चल रही थी दैट वाज एमबीए.
हाँ ऑफ कोर्स इवन नाउ
लाइक एवरीवन वाज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर इट. मतलब उस टाइम आई थिंक वो पीक वाला फेज था कि लाइक कैट इज द थिंग यू हैव टू डू एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स, right? So we also started exploring all our friends and all, and then we came to know कि भाई TISS का HR is worth applying, that kind of thing. ठीक है. So वहां से I first got to know about the institute. Like I don't know, I was very ignorant कि मुझे उससे पहले नहीं पता था कि there is an institute like as great as Tata Institute of Social Sciences. But thanks to Stevens and my friends, I got introduced to the website and all. And I came to know about a subject called disaster management.
I know right my god
And that was just serendipity. There's no other reason that being a sciencey all through my life, something like that will catch my attention and I will pursue it. But looking back, Sansari, while I've never studied society and the arts or humanities disciplines in school, I was even when I was in school, I was uh, very attracted and very active in volunteering exercises.
hmm.
I don't know, it directly spoke to my heart. So even in the school, even in college, during social service league करके उनका एक वो होता था. There are different committees, right? Wildlife group, social service, and all those things. So I've always found कि मैंने इकोसिस्टम वाली चीजों पे वॉलंटियर किया हुआ है, वेटलैंड्स के ऊपर वॉलंटियर किया हुआ है, क्लीनिंग ड्राइव्स पे वॉलंटियर किया है, एल्डरली ग्रुप से रिलेटेड हेल्प एज और सबके साथ वॉलंटियर किया है. बट ऐसा कभी रियलाइज नहीं हुआ कि व्हाई आर यू गेटिंग इंक्लाइंड टू दीज एस्पेक्ट्स.
Also,
मतलब वो ऐसा मे बी हॉबी और सम पुल.
exactly. And there's a beauty in which disaster management brings together all of these aspects, right?
एग्जैक्टली
You have to
एग्जैक्टly.
have technical skills, you need to understand society, तुम्हें ground पे बात करना आना चाहिए. You can't come as an ignorant city person, which is the first thing we do. But हाँ, disaster management taught us life. और इसके बारे में exactly same. मुझे कोई idea नहीं था. And then some of my friends were going to these further studies के लिए examiners जो prep करने के में help करते हैं. And they came up with this बहुत अच्छा college है. मैं बोला social work में या social studies में the fact that there is a professional institute doing all of this नहीं अंदाजा ही नहीं था. और मेरी दादी नानी ने तो बोल दिया था नो जेएनयू नहीं रुक जाओ जेएनयू कहानी ही अलग है दिस इज एन एंटायरली डिफरेंट वर्ल्ड
Yes, yes, it is. And forever my heart is full of gratitude for both these institutions. One, Stephens, that has, just widen up my entire perspective. Because when you come from a like town or tier two sort of cities, so I come from Rishikesh, Uttarakhand, right? So you have a very limited perspective of seeing things. What you have seen बचपन से पूरा school वगैरह में, neighborhood में, and that's how you understand society. But coming to Stevens made me exposed to different states of India, जो आप इससे पहले आप केवल geography में पढ़ते हो. So when you have in your class people from South India, Central India, Northeast India, Western India, and then you understand things so many in different ways, right? So वो जो एक वाइडन हुआ for that I like forever gratitude. to Stephens and also to exposing me to an institute called the ISS. उसके बाद तो लाइफ ही चेंज हो गया, मतलब लाइफ को देखने का नजरिया, नॉट लाइफ बट सोसाइटी एंड द डेवलपमेंट इश्यूज एंड एवरीथिंग.
I was thinking back to your first job out of this, the one which had hands into. You had previous experience from your internship also. Tell me about that. How was it working with a state organization on disaster management?
Yes, so my first job was at a district and state level mix, so I had a dual role. uh, so वो अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस था बहुत. एक्चुअली उसमें हाँ, क्योंकि बिल्कुल ही आप फ्रेश होते हो, ठीक है, आपने उससे पहले उस स्पेस में कभी काम नहीं किया हुआ. ऑफ कोर्स जो भी हमारे रूरल विजिट्स होते थे, इंटर्नशिप्स होते थे, एंड उससे थोड़ा अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो गया था, बिकॉज फॉर्चुनेटली मैंने इंटर्नशिप के टाइम पे भी इन वन इंटर्नशिप आई हैड वर्कड विद एन एनजीओ एंड सेकंड वन आई हैड वर्कड विद द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ओनली इन सिक्किम. सो थोड़ा एक्सपोजर हो गया था, बट जॉब इज अ टोटली डिफरेंट थिंग, राइट?
Mhm.
तो दिस वन वाज माय फर्स्ट वाज जॉब वाज इन हरियाणा. तो उस टाइम आई थिंक तो जो मेन चैलेंज था ना, वो इस चीज का नहीं था कि किस स्टेट में आप कर रहे हो. एटलीस्ट मेन चैलेंज उस टाइम व्हाट वी फेस्ड वाज दिस फील्ड वाज एज न्यू फॉर एवरीवन आउटसाइड.
Yeah, yeah.
या सो पीपल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट तो बहुत दूर की बात थी. पीपल अवेयरनेस की ऐसा कोई फील्ड है और उसमें काम क्या करवाना है. सो इवन व्हेन यू आर अ रिसोर्स academically trained in that person, the client you are or the department you are getting attached, if they don't know
How to use you.
their mandates where
Uh-huh.
they can use us, so that became our role to
Hmm.
tell them
To
that
define
this
your
needs to
own
be
role.
done.
Which
Yeah,
is why
the
at the
act says this, we needs to do this. So
because
that was the kind of challenge.
when did you join the workforce? I think that will hold some
Two-
context.
2012.
है ना? और
हाँ.
2004 tsunami में when the first time India got faced with a disaster it can't manage, that's when the subject really took a hold. कि we need professionals in this field and we cannot depend on international aid.
Mhm.
तो 2012 भी आप बोल रहे हो तभी उतना नहीं था. But right now, has it changed? आपको लगता है there's a little more
A
attention?
lot, a lot,
Yeah.
a
What
lot, a lot.
what could be the triggers?
So I think देखो, like you mentioned ना, the 2005 सुनामी, तो उससे पहले एक चेन ऑफ इवेंट्स चल ही रहे थे.
Hmm.
उड़ीसा सुपर साइक्लोन में we saw, then गुजरात earthquake 2001 में we faced massive destruction, then of course Indian Ocean tsunami. So all those cumulated into this 2005 अपना जो National Disaster Management Act आया, उसमें mandates भी थे states के लिए, districts के लिए. So there were things on paper.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying कि everywhere it was the same scenario. Of course, some states who are like more frequently prone to different hazard events, उनका काफी established systems उस time पे भी थे when we joined,
Right.
right? And जिन states में इतना frequency नहीं है, तो they took
Hmm.
some time to have these systems in place. But now, at least institutional wise, in majority of the states and even at the subnational level, at districts and village and even city now, by the latest amendment in the act, there are institutional mechanisms in place. So there are dedicated officials, disaster management officials or district project officials. And also, I think in the last decade, a lot of capacity building exercises have been undertaken at the
Right.
national level, state level, district level. So it is not just that there is a dedicated official, but awareness of the government officials on the subject has also evolved a lot.
Hmm.
They understand now when you go for any project to any state or you deal with officials, now you don't have to explain what is disaster management.
They get trained also. I remember even while studying the course, we had one military professional who had joined in our senior batch, and he went back and he trained his troop members on it. So that is an
Yes,
excellent decision to have people from professions come in. Someone from Coast Guard,
yes,
yeah, it worked for several
yeah,
years there. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
So,
So, and I think trigger what you asked uh, can be, I think, I, I feel there are two, three reasons to it, possible triggers that can be. One is definitely कि अभी the frequency and severity has gone
absolutely.
drastically worse. ठीक है? So उनका physical, like they are
Manifestation.
now more yeah, they are getting manifested a lot, which is making a lot of common people and also government officials face these and experience these events
Hmm.
at a more frequent scale.
Hmm.
ठीक है, एंड ऑल्सो अभी मीडिया वगैरह भी काफी एक्टिव है, सो इवन इफ यू आर नॉट फेसिंग इट, यू आर एबल टू सी द डिवास्टेशन फ्रॉम अदर एरियाज.
Hmm.
सेकेंडली, आई थिंक कोविड के बाद भी ना, स्पेशली इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म की अगर बात करें ना, तो कोविड के टाइम पे बिकॉज दिस डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट ऐप वाज
Yeah.
utilized to make health ministry the nodal ministry for management. So थोड़ा सा इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल पे आई थिंक अवेयरनेस उससे भी आया है, एंड मोर सो व्हेन वी, सो दिस इज अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर एंड ऑल. ठीक है, बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर का कैसे इंगेजमेंट इम्प्रूव हुआ है इन द सेक्टर कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिसेस का, आई थिंक दैट ट्रिगर इज मोर लिंक्ड विद CSR, ESG, and this climate change
Hmm.
के triggers के कारण.
Climate
So,
change. So okay.
so these,
Hmm. I like the
hmm,
distinction that you've made between public and private. कि public का आया from socio-economic impacts, we had to kind of reverse them or work on them. Or private funding required to go into some spaces. CSR तो mandated है, ESG encouraged है, और climate change well अब inevitable है. So और वो मोस्टली प्राइवेट वाले जो ये है allocations of funds are mandated by some regulation or the other. तो as a disaster management professional, आपको ये link between climate extremities और dealing with their on ground socio-economic realities, our viewers would like to get a perspective of what happens on ground जब ऐसा कुछ hit करता है. Has there been a project that has stayed with you like for a very long time?
yeah, so there are a few projects. Climate extremities का ऐसा, mm, it is climate वाले जो impacts है ना, मतलब apart from these जो बिल्कुल ही major वो cloud burst वाले events हो रहे हैं, या फिर major landslides, urban floods, ठीक है, apart from these जो communities are also able to see their slow effect long term वाले. ठीक है, so जो जो rapid वाले है ना, इनको we get a lot of coverage on these events through media also because of the scale of devastation they bring, and I think those visuals and everything stay with us for a longer period of time when we see that kind of devastation. But mostly in my, because I don't directly work in the response
Hmm.
uh, phase, right? My area is more limited to pre-disaster capacity building,
Literally.
planning. Yeah. So my engagement uh, has provided me an opportunity to work with the community to see these gradual impacts that they are seeing on their different livelihood options or lifestyle.
Hmm.
So, for example, in a few research studies that we took with different communities, predominantly rural communities. So, there we saw how the women of different households, and I think a few of these cases belong to the hilly area,
Okay.
right? So how this rural community, the female of these rural communities from Himalayan or uh, other hilly parts, their livelihood, and not just livelihood, their daily household chores and the lifestyle is
Mm.
so much closely linked to all the natural resources.
Right. Oh.
See, so they have to fetch water, they have to fetch fodder, they have to take care of natural resources, they have to do if fishing or horticulture or even farming, if not for just for their own consumption also, but they are very much linked to agriculture.
What are the men doing meanwhile? ये तो घर कर
No,
ही
no,
है
no.
सब.
Actually, men are also doing,
Yeah.
but देखो फॉर एग्जाम्पल उत्तराखंड का अगर मैं बताऊं तो
Hmm.
है ना, सो दिस इज फ्रॉम उत्तराखंड, one of the districts.
Okay.
So men are mostly taking the labor intensive wala work. ठीक
Hmm.
है, so some of them out migrate for better opportunity options. Some of them are into daily wager wala jobs.
Hmm.
ठीक है, एंड जो ये एंड इवन इन फार्मिंग ऐसा नहीं है कि men are not involved in farming. In
Yeah.
farming also we saw, I think this we I also saw recently during my Manipur field work.
Yeah.
There also men are involved in farming agriculture also, but there is a unsaid division of labor. So what we noticed is the activities which are very time consuming and effort consuming, women are involved in that, and which are labor consuming and labor intensive, वहां पे men है.
Okay.
ठीक है, तो प्लाउ वगैरह करने में we have seen males, but when it comes to harvest या segregation या uh, picking out the harvest separately, storage, maintenance, so that kind of work, females are engaged.
Hmm.
And also one interesting thing which I recently saw in Manipur,
हाँ.
and this was my first visit, so my observation can be very limited because this was just based on one visit.
Yeah. We listen, we
So
don't.
we saw कि लोकताक लेक में a lot of men. So लोकताक लेक में a lot of men were going for fishing. मतलब वो throughout the day हमने men को ही देखा वहाँ पे करते हुए. But when we were coming back and engaging with the communities, we saw कि almost all the household में ना एक छोटा सा ऐसा pond बनाया हुआ है,
Hmm.
which is linked to लोकताक लोक. तो वहाँ पे लोकताक लोक का ही पानी आ रहा है थोड़े बहुत चैनल्स वगैरह से. वहां पे उन्होंने क्या किया, वहां पे व्हाट फीमेल्स वर डूइंग, दे हैड नेट, वेरी ऐसा ट्रेडिशनल वाला सिस्टम.
Hmm.
ठीक है, सो ऐसा रेक्टेंगुलर करके एक स्ट्रक्चर था वुडन, और उसमें नेट था, एंड दे वुड जस्ट रेज इट. आई कैन ऑल्सो शेयर द वीडियो इफ यू
Yes,
वांट फॉर योर
please.
व्यूअर्स. ठीक है, या सो उसको ना दे वुड जस्ट पुट इट, दे वुड होल्ड द स्टिक्स एंड पुट द नेट वहां पे अपना उसमें पॉन्ड में. और वो ऐसा प्रॉपर पॉन्ड पॉन्ड भी नहीं था, एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड से भी उसी में पानी जा रहा था लोकताक से, तो जस्ट सम वाटर प्रेजेंस देयर. And 3-4 of them would sit there. They were also talking and all, and they would just put their net there. ठीक है, and then after certain point they would raise it. तो उसमें इतना tiny fishes were there, not many, 2-3 just. ठीक है, then they would catch it and put it back.
Hmm.
See, so they were doing all the things that are very patient,
Yeah.
time consuming.
Yeah.
ठीक है, एंड ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी व्हाट वी सॉ लोकताक में कि वो वहां पे अपना प्रॉपर नेट लगा के आ रहे थे, एंड देन दे वर गोइंग बैक. सो दे वर पुटिंग द नेट परमानेंटली देयर, एंड देन दे वर कमिंग. सो दिस इज जस्ट बेस्ड ऑन वन डे ऑब्जर्वेशन, तो आई वुड नॉट वांट टू जनरलाइज इट कि ऐसा ही होता है वहां पे. बट दिस इज व्हाट वी आल्सो सॉ इन उत्तराखंड आल्सो, कि वो
Hmm.
टाइम कंज्यूमिंग और लेबर कंज्यूमिंग वाला एक डिफरेंस है, जिसके बेसिस पे द वर्क सेग्रीगेशन इज देयर. But mostly,
Hmm.
sorry,
बोलो बोलो.
हाँ, but mostly ये सारा आप horticulture, agriculture, natural resource management, forest produce से कुछ आपको लेकर आना है, fodder, fetching of water, ये सारे mostly women इसमें engaged है.
मेरे
So
को
जो भी impact हो रहा है अपना climate change का, उसका direct impact इन पे आ रहा है.
Also.
even because of temperatures getting higher, और रेनफॉल का scarcity, या फिर अगर scarcity नहीं है तो भी एटलीस्ट द वे द पैटर्न्स आर ऑल्टरिंग.
Hmm. Crazy. What struck me the last time we had this catch-up call was you were working in a pahadi area, hilly region, and you noticed some difference in the way that resources were staged for immediate aid. Wanted to explore a bit Usbeki. What could be the regional difference?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, in resilience mindset.
So actually, na, this takes us to something which is very crucial for disaster risk management.
Hmm.
Okay. So the point is that while we do prepare guidelines and directives and instructions, but they are to be treated as guidelines,
Yeah.
right? And there is a definite need of contextualizing them and understanding the vision and purpose behind them. But at the acting stage, they have to be contextualized. So I think our discussion was around this point when I gave you that example.
Hmm.
So, so I was just discussing it with the, I think, district officials there,
Hmm.
that what kind of challenge they face in, implementing any guidelines or the plans that have been built, not at their level, but at a higher level, and which have reached to them through a top-down approach. So at that point, they mentioned that we have an IRS guideline, na, incident response system. So under that, there is a mention of staging area, where for any disaster or incident, we station our emergency resources at a safe place at the incident.
Hmm.
From the mobilization of the resources from there, their overhauling and everything can take place from there.
Okay.
So that's the broad concept. But what these hilly districts face the challenge is, they say we cannot, just implement that guideline, because considering the hilly terrain, it is not practical and wise to bring their resources at a particular area which is already vulnerable. And because any major incident in these hill areas like landslide or cloud burst, the first thing that is impacted is the road.
Yes, absolutely.
So it was like it will be foolish of us to just bring things at a single place from where we may face the challenge of then decentralizing and deploying it at the areas.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of tweak which is required. So the concept of staging area is that you have access to your resources within a short period of time. You know how many of these are there. You know who is taking care of them. Who will, if a resource is deployed and it needs to go back for overhauling, who is the responsible? So
Mm.
that's the idea. But
Yeah.
how you implement it based on your terrain is something that is very much required.
Yeah. Which brings me to the Majuli example. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is crazy about Majuli is that it gets flooded almost every year, maybe more than once a year. Okay. And the crazy bit about what you had mentioned earlier was that the river shifts Brahmaputra, right? From left to right and right to left over the years. How does this mindset of resilience evolve in a community that has to face climate related extremities and disasters so frequently? And I ask you this because you worked closely with the community.
Yes. So, yeah. So this was also one of the experience for me, the one in Marjorie, because I've never experienced the river erosion affected communities earlier in
Yeah.
my career. So that was a different kind of impacts that you see and different kind of narratives that you get to hear, because in this case they are not just losing their houses or
Mm-hmm.
their assets.
Mm-hmm.
In many cases they are just losing their entire land. So when we talk about rehabilitation, so that you have land and the houses or infrastructure are impacted, there is another total strategy strategy of how you bring about physical infrastructure rehabilitation. But when a person is losing the entire land, so that's a different story only, and it's not happening once in your lifetime. The people I met, they have shifted already at least thrice or four times.
God.
They have lost the land and have shifted one side and another side. So that's a very different thing to comprehend, and also knowing that these solutions can't be as simple as uh, you can just read a guideline or write in a plan. It is very multi-layered, multi-sectoral, and multidisciplinary because so many things are involved. So having said that, so these communities, they have been facing floods
Hmm.
right from the beginning, na?
Yeah.
But unko they in the earlier years, what I was told by the community members, they would not see the flood as hazardous or something with a negative connotation because it would bring a lot of fer- fertile silt to them.
Okay.
So it would help their agriculture practices. ठीक है? And often they would also, it would be beneficial for fishing and all those things. So उनका एक रिलेशनशिप था सेट कि जहाँ पे फ्लड्स भी आते थे तो उनका लाइफ इतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता था. दे वुड बी एबल टू रीप the benefits of it. But now the quantum is so disastrous
Hmm.
and more frequent कि उनका lifestyle ही impact हो जाता है.
Correct.
So now, so so now there is that contradiction of that it is no more just doing us good, but it is taking away all our labors and everything.
If you've built an
Sorry?
asset and it breaks down and you have to create it again, it that in itself is a huge resource intensive activity.
Yes, yes.
To have to do
You
that,
just imagine now where where would they utilize any of their human potential
yeah.
or just to enjoy the life or live the life if throughout the year their concern is this. And even when I visited them, this is from 2004 around 2024
Hmm.
around March. Yeah. So unhone, many of them have rebuilt and everything, but because of the resources they had, they was because this I visited the mission community there. So they have the houses on stilt that we used to
Eh,
study na.
yes.
हाँ, so this community had, but many of them का limitation क्या था कि after the impact they were not able to rebuild it to the appropriate height
Ah,
because they didn't have enough resources to invest and have a higher
right.
level infrastructure. So then in the next cycle they become all the more vulnerable.
Correct. Even if they know that the height is not sufficient, they literally cannot put more resources into gaining it. So they're okay with facing whatever comes next. क्योंकि और option है.
Yes, that's
Hmm.
exactly. So बाकी चीजों में भी उनका यही था when you see because their toilets, their hand pumps, everything was on stilt.
Hmm.
ठीक है. तो उनका टॉयलेट का भी the concern they raised regarding sanitation was something similar that you have utilized the fund provided under a government scheme to build their toilets, but that those funds allowed only a limited
Right.
uh, dimensions of the septic tank and all,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And once they get filled and once there is flood situation,
Yeah.
they are back to not using it.
With
So
this,
despite knowing that they need a larger soak pit and larger, so it has become a part of
hmm,
their life.
this soak pit issue for waste management is, I think it's across all these programs that have gone out, right? Because the soak
Yes,
pit is
yes,
usually what? It lasts for 7 to 14 years. Seven if it's single and if it's double, 14. And this is a recurring problem that we've heard on field while we used to be out. And that's in 2020 after these soak pits had come out. So, just letting anybody who's watching know it's not working out, guys. We need another problem for waste management, solution for waste management. On the topic of this इंडिया में रेजिलियंस का कल्चरल माइंडसेट. I know that you have been part of an organization जहाँ पे you've worked with several international stakeholders as well. How would you say this resilience culture or mindset is different from ours outside?
Okay. So, I think broadly with the other clients in South Asia only,
Hmm.
more or less the mindset and practices are somewhat similar.
Hmm.
One can be good in one thing and the other can be another thing, but overall the understanding the risk scenarios and the perspective overall and an approach to reach it are mostly same or similar, uh, which I saw in Nepal and Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Okay. But with my experience in Japan, so in Japan, unfortunately, I was not able to engage with the community there. It was just an observation, uh, possibly as a tourist there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because yeah, so it was not direct engagement with the disaster management officials there or the at-risk communities there.
Yeah.
But having said that, that culture is very different.
Hmm.
And all of us are very aware of how Japan has been taking its preparedness and resilience not just as a not just as a compliance to any legislation, but as a culture. So I think they are very culturally rooted society, and
Hmm.
that makes them very responsible in their actions and very law abiding, and that is visible there right at the early stage.
Hmm.
So we can say that about their road traffic culture.
Oh, yeah.
It
Talk about
is
the
so
game.
disciplined, so disciplined. Yeah, and I'm not aware how is it in different other countries, maybe matlab American and European, but this was my first experience where I was like, wow,
Hmm.
what are we doing back home with road traffic? So, and yeah, so that was really good. The pedestrians there were first priority, and the roads and the pavements, the walking areas, the cycling areas, they were so safe that the even small kids, primary school kids, had that discipline in them. They would be all alone in a queue, maybe guided by someone, but not at an individual level. A group would tow in a line together. They will be uh, carrying their school bags and their hats
Oh.
and walking very disciplinedly. So the concern of not because this is one thing that we also talk about in India when we talk about school safety,
Hmm. Yeah.
comprehensive school safety. So we also talk about is the child safe as they transit from home to school and school to home back.
Yeah.
So this is very clear there. So that is not taken care by a school safety project or something. That is taken care by the culture.
Think it's because of the entire system or ecosystem of support that's built around that. This they cannot take for granted. This they will each be responsible for in their own capacity.
Yes, yes. And I think based on different videos that we have seen about Japan
Hmm.
and their responsibility taking culture, even after I think there was some match in
Hmm.
the stadium, and we saw that people have left their, food items and empty
That,
bottles and everything, and we saw how Japanese cleared that before leaving. So there are many videos and everything and videos available that shows that it is not just a culture in a particular sector, maybe road safety or school safety. It is there in them. And I think that is what we aspire to bring when we talk in disaster risk management, the culture of preparedness, the culture of resilience, the culture of safety. So it has to come as a culture, not no one single project or training can do that. So that is there. And even in other aspects of disaster risk management, Japan has been at the forefront for
Yeah,
very long now.
absolutely. I could say the same for,
Yeah.
say, Odisha in terms of cyclones in India. Also, West
Hmm.
Bengal now using satellite information from other countries rather than depending on our own. And the fact that in India, state-wise budgets are better allocated for disaster management and not the center kind of helps decentralize the amount of focus we want to put in each sort of disaster, depending on where we're from. But there are still states that are facing disasters they haven't before, like Kerala. Uh, for example, when the multi disaster event happened back in 2018, 19, we were back in college back then, and that our batch went for the recovery project and the reporting thing. But yeah, these states need to come up with new measures. Would you have any sort of advice to, officials who would work on these matters? Where do they start?
Uh, I think the challenge that we have now at the risk governance level is that he, the one thing that Sendai also talks about, Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, that understanding risk,
Hmm.
right? So now the risk are not that simple कि आप seismic zone में है, earthquake है या flood prone प्लेन में हो तो फ्लड आ रहा है, ठीक है. वी आर सीइंग अर्बन फ्लड सिनेरियोज ऑल अक्रॉस. गुड़गांव को देख लो, पंजाब को देख लो, चेन्नई देख लो, केरला देख लो, हैदराबाद देख लो, मुंबई देख लो, ठीक
Mhm.
है. सो वैसा नहीं है कि आप उस एक्सपोजर वाले में, डायरेक्ट एक्सपोजर में हो तभी हो रहा है. एंड ऑल्सो नाउ द नेचर ऑफ हैजर्ड इवेंट्स हैव ऑल्सो changed a lot. So you cannot look at a single hazard alone now. Okay.
Pointless.
So there are more and more events of cascading risks happening. Okay. So when at the local level, I think what is needed is to have a micro understanding of how these risks are shaping up and manifesting.
Hmm.
And then take the guidance from national level, state level, and see what can be tweaked where, which development schemes can be tweaked where. But the solution should be really based on how the things are happening at the micro level. Same for heat risks. Right now, even the hilly areas and not otherwise जो conventionally heat prone states होते थे, उनके beyond we are facing heat risk. Even Feb में we are getting heat heat wave के alerts and all. So even in at a city level, how heat will impact a concrete area or a slum area or
Hmm.
a area which has natural resources or water bodies or green space, it will be very different.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do collectively is understand risk at the very micro level
Yeah.
and have evidence and data on it.
Hmm.
Currently our issue is also that uh, data is there, but data is generic, data is in is located with different agencies. A lot of data is not available for in a public domain to for better analysis and understanding by researchers. So a lot of problem is also around data,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more than data, it's the management of it.
Yeah.
Data है,
Hey,
ठीक है, it is the management and timely updation and
absolutely.
use utilizing it. It's
Also,
not the lack of data.
monetization of data. Ye private companies, when they win tenders for responding to disasters or certain, say, advisory councils, what they do is they absolutely monetize on the data collected. They don't put it up in a public forum. F-
Hmm.
Biggest case in point is nobody uses the census data anymore for India
Hmm.
because it's from
It's anyways it's so outdated now ना.
exactly.
11 का ही है हमारे पास.
But there are sources that have information,
Right.
okay, on population and demographics that we do pay for in order to get this information. So data आपका basic है. You need to cover it. And this is an exercise that every country needs, any organization needs at least say annually or biennially, once in 2 years. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking
No, in
of,
the absence of it, we cannot have effective planning, ना?
can't
आपको
make,
एविडेंस नहीं है, डेटा
yeah,
नहीं है, डिसएग्रीगेटेड डेटा नहीं है, तो अब हाउ डू यू, हाउ कैन यू ब्रिंग दी your aspirations of gender inclusive or child inclusive or
exactly,
disability inclusive if you don't have adequate uh, data
correct.
that can be used for it?
Reminds us, no, you can't monitor what you don't measure.
Exactly, exactly.
There's this recent case of flooding, I think on the 1st of September. ये थोड़ा googly जाएगा, पर you will try your best, okay? Afghanistan में, it seems floods came, and Indian news caught up on some aspect of it that kind of made it go, this news piece go viral, जहाँ पे औरतों को, the first responders were mostly men, or the volunteers were men, and in those countries where there is a direct law to not touch someone who is not from your family or related to you, वहाँ पे women and say female children were the last to get help or were left in some dire situation for 3 nights. ये एंगल मतलब थोड़ा sketchy है, but did you have any thoughts about this? I'm sure you've come across it.
I've I have definitely read about it, and we
Mhm.
have discussed, I think, also as a case study when we were a student of disaster management a
Yeah.
decade back.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there the what the cases that we study, they were from Indian Ocean tsunami, and it was not about uh, not being able to touch someone and hence you don't rescue them.
Hmm.
It was more about the notions of certain notions that we attach to different genders,
Right.
right? So, so I think the cases from Indian Ocean tsunami that I can recollect were, uh, in terms of relief, they were.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when an agency is giving relief, how they need to be sensitive about the local cultural and practices. So what had happened there is that people have given, I think, to women they have distributed sari,
Oh, okay. So
but
not
they have not
help
thought about
clothing.
not.
Yeah.
Yes, but no, it was helpful. Like sari was helpful there, but they didn't think about any upper top like blouse or something. It
Oh
was
no.
just a sari. ठीक
Wow.
है? हाँ. So they didn't think through it. So it was just a piece of cloth, and so that was making the females reluctant to participate in uh, other services that were open to them. Just say if they have to go and fetch food, or if they have to take some counseling and
Mm,
PTSD, psychosocial care. So because they were not feeling that they are dressed appropriately,
yeah.
they they were avoiding going to such places. And
No.
also, I think there was a case study, just a small discussion. I think during the student time only. Ki, what if you are taking a bath in your home and at that time disaster strike?
I do.
ठीक है. So what should be your first? Is it your safety, or you should be thinking of dressing full
Dignity.
appropriately, or you should just take care of it, you know? So that kind of debate are definitely there. And I'm sure in a society and the prevailing situations in Afghanistan, this is very unfortunate because children and women are the most vulnerable that we consider in terms of they providing them aid or rescuing them. And if they are left at last, so I think it is all about culture.
Hmm.
Culture plays, social culture practices play a big role in how you deal with it.
Right. Now, there are other topics that I want to discuss with you, but I leave it for a different time because I have something for you. ठीक है, we'll be playing एक छोटा सा quiz, multiple
Okay,
question, choice based questions है, and disasters
okay,
पे है. I have kept it simple, don't worry. ठीक है,
okay.
एक
Test your knowledge of natural disasters. पहले तो don't use the term natural disasters will be my
सॉरी, यस
request.
यस, इसको मैं हटा दूंगी, हटाओ। ये नो डिजास्टर इज नेचुरल, फुल कॉन्टेक्स्ट, क्योंकि सब मैनमेड ही है, गलती हमारी ही है, हम जाके ऐसी जगह रह रहे
Oh
हैं
my
जहाँ
God, you are
हमें नहीं
doing a
होना
UGC
चाहिए।
net. You are doing a UGC net on me.
This is not UGC net. We will begin. Ma'am, there are four different answers that okay, your and I know you can answer them, but मुझे आपसे क्या चाहिए कि आप एक लाइन ऑफ एक्सप्लेनेशन दो, ताकि अगर किसी को ना समझे कि ये आंसर क्यों आंसर है, तो उन्हें पता हो
Hmm.
और मुझे पता हो कि आपको पता है, विच इज अ स्टूपिड कमेंट, पर ठीक है, मैंने बोल दिया। तो 80% of tsunamis are caused by what? Is it, are they earthquakes? Are they volcanic eruptions? Are they landslides or meteorite impacts?
I think majority are earthquake.
Earthquake. ठीक है, देखते हैं कि
And these
ने क्या रिस्पॉन्स दिया है।
पहले देख लो किसने क्या रिस्पॉन्स दिया।
क्लॉड earthquake CIS।
Okay, okay.
आप क्या एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रहे थे?
हाँ, मैं यही explanation दे रही थी, which is also now on the screen, that it displaces a large quantum of water, deep earthquakes, and that triggers it.
I used to think volcanic eruptions है, but then मुझे किसी ने बोला कि volcano आने की जरूरत नहीं है for the earthquake, to get initiated or पानी to get displaced. Okay, that makes sense. ठीक है,
But volcanic triggered भी होते हैं
होते हैं,
tsunamis, but
correct.
I think it is majority
हाँ, टेक्टोनिक
ones.
प्लेट्स
Yeah.
हिलने से थोड़ा पानी डिस्प्लेस। अगला सवाल है, व्हाट इज द मोस्ट कॉमन टाइप ऑफ नेचुरल डिजास्टर ग्लोबली? इज इट फ्लड्स, इज इट स्टॉर्म्स, इज इट अर्थक्वेक्स और अदर? अदर कैसा ऑप्शन है?
Most common. Common मतलब आपका वो हो गया ना, frequent.
राइट,
I think it would be floods.
फ्लड्स, ठीक है। मोमेंट ऑफ ट्रूथ, फ्लड account for nearly half of all natural disasters globally, affecting millions, billions, तो हमारे कंट्री में ही अफेक्ट हो जाते हैं। वाओ, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। अंडरस्टैंडिंग कॉजेज ऑफ फ्लड, फ्लड का मेजर कॉज क्या है? इज इट हैवी रेनफॉल और इज इट पुअर ड्रेनेज?
It's a mix of both.
It is
Because there are areas that can be not flooded even during heavy rainfall. अगर उनका they can take care of storm water management and everything.
correct.
So development issue is poor drainage, but hazard angle से heavy rainfall
पर
is
मेरे
also
को
there. So it will be difficult to pick one.
Okay, I will give you a hint. A disaster is always man-made.
That I mentioned only. If it is proper storm water management, even heavy rainfall won't lead to waterlogging and flooding.
Good enough reasoning. तो मैं डाल देता हूँ आंसर, heavy rainfall and poor drainage. वाओ वाओ वाओ, ठीक है। पर उसमें बी मार्क किया है, यार प्लीज एक्सक्यूज क्लॉड फॉर दिस स्टुपिडिटी।
बट इन्होंने ए और बी मार्क ही नहीं किया है।
हाँ नहीं, उन्होंने
option
करेक्ट
में।
आंसर बी डाल के दोनों ऑप्शन डाल। यस, अभी हम आएंगे बेसिक और बेसिकेस्ट क्वेश्चंस पे। व्हाट इज
Okay.
द मोस्ट वाइडली यूज्ड स्केल फॉर मेजरिंग earthquake magnitude? और मुझे यहाँ पे ऑप्शंस भी नहीं डालने चाहिए थे।
Richter.
Yes! Wow, congratulations! 1935 में चार्ल्स रिक्टर ने सोचा ये भी बनाते हैं। एंड ये brings me to that section में हमने थोड़ी earthquakes के बारे में चैटिंग करी थी। Is that, नहीं, मैंने recently अपने कलीग को बताया कि the earliest that you can map early warning for earthquake is about 2 minutes before the earthquake. तो उसने
Even
बोला
less. A few seconds.
yes, exactly.
हाँ,
So,
yeah.
मतलब in the world there's just one center that maps it 2 minutes ahead, and she said that's
Okay.
impossible. Earthquakes इतने दिन से है यार, किसी ने तो कुछ तो बना, बोले करना मुमकिन ही नहीं है bro.
Yeah, I think they just leveraged in the earthquake early warning system. They just leverage the gap between the P wave and S wave, primary and secondary wave,
Yes.
and that gives that kind of window only. a few seconds to 1 minute.
Correct. It's already begun. It's just not hit you yet.
It's yeah.
चलो, Hurricane Katrina impact in 2005. हाँ, ओके. तो कौन से स्टेट में हुआ था ये, अगर आपको याद रहे तो? और कुछ नहीं तो गामा ने
I
स्लाइड
think
में
it was it Florida था क्या शायद.
फ्लोरिडा.
I remember two of my classmates making a presentation on it.
नहीं, फ्लोरिडा
And
नहीं था. फ्लोरिडा तक
Texas.
पहुंची थी, पर टेक्सास ही नहीं थी. ऑल्दो टेक्सास इज वन ऑफ द स्टेट्स वहां पे जहाँ पे बहुत हलचल होती रहती है
Okay.
क्लाइमेट वाइज. इट वाज, बता दी.
Yeah, please do.
अब ये लुइजियाना था.
Louisiana.
का आंसर
Okay.
मुझे भी नहीं पता था, बट आई हैड टू पुट वन.
तुमने actually whoever has prepared this slide ना, the AI tool, उसने आंसर को ऑलरेडी वो मार्क किया था, तो that caught my attention, but I don't know why मेरे को फ्लोरिडा और वो जा रहा था.
हिंट देने वाली थी कि यार गामा ने गलती कर रखी है.
वो मैंने कैच कर लिया था, but I wanted to go with my instincts.
हाँ, नहीं, ओके, गुड. ये मतलब कोइंसिडेंटली न्यू ऑर्लियंस.
मुझे yes, the case study that my classmates were presenting, that was on New Orleans.
न्यू ऑर्लियंस
Yeah,
के
yeah,
बारे में
yeah.
मेरे को बहुत कुछ पता है, बिकॉज मैं बहुत
हाँ.
वैम्पायर डायरीज देखती थी.
Okay.
उसमें आ जाता है.
Yes.
It seems that is the
I think that is why I was trying to, go through the options and seeing कि कुछ bell नहीं ring हो रही from that presentation.
कुछ तो याद है, पर ये
Yeah,
भी था.
Yeah.
नहीं,
Okay.
ये थोड़ा in terms of response है ये वाला क्वेश्चन. शेल्टर इन प्लेस प्रोटोकॉल्स, एक तो आप पहले थोड़ा सा समझा दो कि क्या होता है, और इनमें से which डिजास्टर के अकर होने पे आप ऐसे प्रोटोकॉल्स यूज करोगे. वुड इट बी केमिकल रिलीज आउटसाइड द फैसिलिटी में आप शेल्टर इन प्लेस प्रोटोकॉल्स अप्लाई करोगे? वुड यू अप्लाई इट इफ द फायर इज इन द फैसिलिटी? Would you apply it if there is a severe hailstorm, or if there is a flash flood directly at the facility grounds?
I think what they are explaining in shelter in places, it is most effective when the risk is outside, and it is better to be inside in a safe space, right? So I think definitely chemical release may, since it's outside, so it will be better to be in a safe place inside. And fire in the facility है तो depend करेगा how far or close you are from that fire. Will be leveraging it. Hailstorm में of course you would want to be inside in a safe place. And flash flood also, but in the facility लिखा हुआ है तो it will depend again on the exposure to this area.
यही होता है इतना सब.
So मतलब थोड़ा ना वैसा है वो, मतलब it is not very objective sort of question.
क्वेश्चन पे सवाल कर दिया. ओ माँ, ये है आंसर. पर आई एग्री विथ यू, सिवियर हेलस्टॉर्म के केस में भी यस, शेल्टर चाहिए.
मतलब why would you be outside?
Exactly, नहीं जाने वाले आप. पर वहां पे इन्होंने लिखा है कि सीक स्टर्डी शेल्टर, की जरूरी नहीं है, वो भी अगेन सिचुएशनल ही है.
Yeah.
आपको फुल पॉइंट्स है, डोंट वरी.
नहीं, also I think ना the kind of image that this tool has used. मैंने नहीं देखा. The image they have used was CBRN वाला है, so I think they wanted it to be chemical. CBRN suits है ना ये image में.
Yes, correct. भाई सब जानते हो यार आप ऐसे. Is there any document on disasters you haven't read?
No. There are a lot. Yeah, there are a lot. My whole to read list is a huge pile. The field is too large and too complex and multi-layered to say कि भाई I know it all.
That's my mom says that's the first sign of someone who reads a lot. They'll always say that there's a lot more to read, and I have read nothing in life yet.
That's
ठीक है,
true. That's true.
चलो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जिसका आंसर आपने नहीं देखा है ना? Okay, which natural disaster resulted in the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011? मुझे 2011 याद रहना चाहिए था. Was it earthquake?
So
हाँ,
actually,
हाँ,
जो अभी what we were talking ना some time back, then we were asking what should be done, and I was saying कि अभी cascading risk के scenarios बहुत हो गए हैं, right? So इसमें if the system, your AI tool wants to know one right answer, so the immediate trigger was tsunami, but
yes,
the tsunami was caused by earthquake.
yes,
So it was the earthquake leading to tsunami, leading to impact on the nuclear facility.
correct. That is exactly what Lord wanted to ask. कि पहले क्या हुआ था और मैग्नीट्यूड 9.0 अर्थक्वेक पहला होना चाहिए था, but for some reason the trigger यहाँ पे दिखा है सुनामीज है. So we will just go with our own interpretation. Plot 0. Ambika. And I think this is the end of it. पर इसके
Oh,
अलावा
that was fun.
हाँ, मेरे पास एक एनाग्राम्स वाली गेम है.
Okay.
वो हम
So now you want to play with the math side of me also.
ठीक है, थोड़ा सा बेसिक है, बट बेयर विथ मी. आई विल राइट द एनाग्राम ऑन द चैट और आप मेरे को बोलने वाले हो आपको क्या दिखता है. ठीक है, रेडी? ये है पहला. स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक नहीं हो सकती. ओके, दिस इज अ मेजर greenhouse gas.
Methane.
थैंक्स यार. ओके, लगता है इसमें सिर्फ मेरी ही मेहनत जाने वाली है.
नहीं नहीं.
एफर्टलेस.
Let's see. It is fun.
ठीक है, दिस.
See, without hint, I was lost until you said that hint.
ठीक है, the next one is this and it is a natural disaster.
मेरे को शायद chat window खोलना पड़ेगा. It got lost. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
Natural disaster.
Earthquake.
हाँ.
Natural hazard.
Natural hazard. Sorry, my bad. This is
You know, I am re-emphasizing it, but
no. You shouldn't be
we
sorry.
really, yeah, but it has gone too much into it too, because that is needed for a mindset change. At least to acknowledge that it is.
अगर मेरे प्रॉप्स को दिखता कि मैंने अर्थक्वेक को डिजास्टर बोला है तो मैं ही पिट जाती. डोंट वरी. इतना भी क्या क्लाइमेट. ओके, चलो नेक्स्ट वन. ठीक है, दिस इज अ एनर्जी सोर्स.
First is solar. First word, I think, and second is
मैं यही चांस में सेकंड वाला टाइप करके रख. ऐसा मौका नहीं मिलता है.
power.
Yes.
What? Why did I take so long?
होता है, काफी देर से आप देख रहे हो ना ये सारे शब्द जिनका एक्चुअल में कोई मीनिंग नहीं है. और आई एम टेकिंग लॉन्ग टू राइट दीज वर्ड्स एंड मैंने खुद ने बनाए एनाग्राम्स.
हो रहा होगा ना, तुम्हारा नेचुरली सही टाइप हो पा रहा होगा. It's difficult to type wrong.
एग्जैक्टली. हाँ, मेरे सारे लेटर्स हैं इसमें. दिस इज द फोर्थ वन. इट इज एन एक्टिविटी that helps reduce your carbon footprint.
Use.
on. आएगा अंबिका, आएगा। आपको हिंट चाहिए एक और तो आप बता
I'm
सकते
totally lost. No, 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 no. I don't need hint. But अभी वैसा हो रहा है, लेटेस्ट प्रोसेस होना बंद हो गए
हो। हाँ,
इतने सारे देखने के बाद. But yeah, just give me a few seconds more. Okay, let me go to the third word. Skip करती हूँ second.
it helps you reduce your carbon footprint. ठीक है। It's
नहीं क्लिक हो रहा कुछ.
not a tool, it's just an activity जो आप करते हो। आप शायद नहीं करते हो क्योंकि you work from home sometimes.
Transport है क्या कुछ? Use public transport.
Yeah, so we got there. क्या बात है, क्या बात है। ये नहीं करना पड़ता है ना, तो हम
God.
सोचते भी नहीं है।
Oh, good one, good one. This was good one.
डीप सांस लो, अभी हम लास्ट वाली करेंगे, ठीक है।
Oh my God.
अभी तो 4 out of 4 है। लास्ट वाला है ये, and it is a phenomena that eventually, मतलब that has I don't know how to say this without giving a hint. Double hint. Okay.
It's just a climate phenomena.
हाँ, global warming leads to this.
Okay, let's just
global-
pause there and let me try without a hint. Change, climate change.
मैं ज्यादा खुश हूँ, ये हो गया। शाबाश शाबाश, बधाइयाँ।
Oh, when you said na, it's a phenomena and
हाँ,
global warming leads to it. I have gone to a different level in my head.
I know you've gone one step extra. मेरे को problem कब हुई थी पता है? When we were playing something like this at another setup, and people just could not remember the words climate change. This is a different setup जहाँ पे कोई भी climate से लेना देना नहीं है इन लोगों को। और मैं और मेरी पार्टनर सोच रहे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग और क्लाइमेट चेंज किसको नहीं चमकता है, बट देन
मतलब that's the very first word ना. I
Exactly.
was beyond. मैंने L देखा ना. I was in coral reef bleaching and all
wow.
were coming to my mind.
क्या बात करो भाई।
तो मैं बेसिक्स को जंप करके बहुत आगे निकल चुकी थी, बट दैट इज व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड. लाइक स्टिक टू बेसिक टू अंडरस्टैंड द इशू.
तो मेरे को ऐसा था कि डिजास्टर्स वाला इज अ लिटिल ओवर बेसिक्स, इतना भी बेसिक्स नहीं था क्विज, तो मुझे क्लाइमेट का लेकिन थोड़ा सा प्लेफुल रखना था कि ये तो आएगा। बट एनाग्राम्स बनाते बनाते कुड हैव डन इट विद द फर्स्ट लेटर करेक्ट इन एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ देम, बट मैंने ऐसा नहीं किया। आई एम सॉरी।
No, it was fun. Yeah, I applied. It triggered my brain. Even though the responses were simple, but I think the combination of letter was fun to decode.
ये
Like this fourth one, तो ट्रांसपोर्ट आ ही नहीं रहा था मेरे दिमाग में. पोटेशियम या कुछ आ रहा.
आपको पता है मैंने कितनी बार काउंट करके देखा है कि मेरे एनाग्राम में सारे लेटर्स है कि नहीं, और हर एक के एक भी ऐसा भी नहीं कि एक पे तो मेहनत की है। हाँ, ये लास्ट वाला बिट में ब्लूपर में ही डालने वाली हूँ। Sure.
Nice.
Thank you so much for spending this much time with
Thank you, Sansa.
Though there are topics we have left undiscovered, unexplored on this podcast with you, हम next time करेंगे।
And I also wanted to listen from you also on these questions, but I think we will take care of it some other time.
Yes. we'll have some
Yeah,
sessions
because
at the setup.
your transition is your professionally you have transitions from the discipline in terms of it's bit slightly different, the ESG
Mm.
sphere, from what you have studied. So I also wanted to get your perspective now, as an uh, ESG professional. How often do you come across what you have studied and all this? But I think we'll take care of it